Hello everyone, welcome to this week's workshop on increasing emotional intelligence of our children. Okay, now if you don't have children, then you can definitely take some learnings from this workshop. You can maybe help your nieces and nephews, or even yourself, because I'm bringing my own adult self into this picture as well. And so whatever I'm teaching my kids is something I've taught myself first, and I'm always learning, obviously. So I am going to start the workshop. If there's any quizzes live, obviously, if there's any questions that come up live, I will answer them at the end. You can just put them down in the comment section and I will answer them in the end if I haven't answered it already in the session. I would love you, if you could, is if you had a question and you typed it in, and then also put down that you've answered it, or if I haven't answered it, to just leave it as it is. That would be super useful. So let's talk about this. So I'm talking about my oldest child. She's called Faiza, and she's currently 10 years of age at the time of this recording, and this was recorded in December 2019. Now, yeah, I got the right date, thank gosh. I was almost going to say 20, but anyway. So the reason why I'm talking about emotional intelligence in children is that if you're a parent, it can affect you massively if your child is just not happy. I mean, emotional intelligence is ultimately creating a state in a child where they are happy and content in all situations in their life. Okay, that's where we want to get them to. And the goal of emotional mastery and self-mastery is for you to reframe in your mind, which is changing your perception about a situation that you cannot control, okay? And if you can control that situation, is to change yourself and control that situation. So say, for example, if you know you can do something, you can achieve something, and there's blocks in you, there's shall I say, a program in you that is not serving you to achieve that goal, then you change your inner state, you remove the blocks, okay, and then you go and get it. But there's things in life that we cannot control, that if we don't work on our mindset around it, they can upset us, they can make us feel low, and it can just continually build and make us so resented to life, and then we are in this scarcity mindset, and we're just unhappy then, right? So two things we've got to do is either reframe our own thinking, change our thinking about something we cannot control, or if we can control something and change it, to change it, okay, take the action and change it. So both require work, a lot of inner work, hence emotional intelligence. That's what it ultimately is. Emotional intelligence is for you to be happy and content in all situations of your life, okay? And I'm talking about all. And I'm at the stage in my life right now where I see things happen in the world which don't align with my core values, like, you know, things in the Middle East and everything, politics, but I'm at peace and content with it because I've changed my thinking around it, okay? Based on my beliefs, I've surrendered because that's not in my control, and what I do is I do what's in my control. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now in my life, and I want my kids to get that as well, obviously, right? If you're a mother, you don't totally want that for your children. So let's talk about Faiza. And the reason why I'm talking about Faiza and not my youngest child is because my youngest is pretty much easy work when it comes to emotional intelligence. She was born when I was just starting to get into self-development actively, and she's pretty much easy to do. Like 90% of her is happy and content, and if she isn't, she makes sure she is, right? So I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about Faiza, because we started self-development as a couple as well when she was about 6 years of age. So before that, she wasn't in the most of happy household. We used to argue as a couple all the time. She was pretty much with my mum's house and all the kids there, and all that. All she saw was fights and kids fighting and picking on each other and swearing and all this turbulence, right? And you know, I'm grateful they've all gone into self-development as well, and there's not that much turbulence now. But that's what it was like. It wasn't a great place for her. to be in around, even shall I say, school wasn't great as well because of how she was internally. It just kept on adding up, right? So life was really sort of not great for her up until age 6 or 7, when we started to really make changes in our personal development. So this workshop has been delayed for several months because I've only recently started to work on her, where she is engaging with me fully. So when I first started to work on Pfizer, she was probably maybe 9 or 8 years old, like actively, because she started to think then. When the child is about 7, 8, they start to think, and they are starting to be more critical, questioning, because I'll talk about the ages and how it naturally starts. She wasn't accepting my guidance. She did not have the respect that a parent needs, and vice versa, because we just started to argue every time she would say something or reject what I want. Basically I wanted to help her and she was rejecting it a lot. So it's only been now, and it's been consistently happening for the last sort of 6 to 8 months, where she is consistently growing and we are working together. And that's what I want to share with you, and I want you all to share this with your kids as well, because our children are the future of this world, right? I mean, we're going to be here, we're here right now, but they are going to carry this on. And you'll learn more about this as we go on, and how as parents we affect our children without even realising what we're doing. And if we gain self-awareness, it'll help them as well. So it's been consistent 6 to 8 months where we've worked together, and she has just flourished massively. And I feel like I can now do this workshop rather than doing it before, when I was kind of hit and miss. I would have good weeks with her and then suddenly it'll be gone and then we start again. But she was at a point in her life previously to the last sort of 8 months, where she was, like I said, rejecting a lot of guidance from me, really confused, just didn't like anything that much. It was like a chore. I could just see from her body language. Everything was just hard work. Life was just hard. That's how she was coming across to me. So I don't want to go into details, but she was really challenging. I mean, if you know me personally, I've probably mentioned it to you. If you do want to know what she used to do, you can reach out to me. I will tell you that, because obviously I don't want to keep that there in my obviously if she sees this, I don't want her to know that I've shared this, but there's a lot of things. She was really challenging, basically. So let's go on. So when we started work I started to help her and guide her, I first had to know her outcome. Okay, so how does she want you? Because if you don't know your outcome, you don't know what you're doing, right? Awesome, brilliant, so awesome. So first, I got her to, I've got a whiteboard here and some paper, and it's A1 size, and I said, okay, just draw your picture. It doesn't have to be you, but just draw an image and then write down who you want to be. Who really do you want to be like? Okay, so that's what she started to do first. This was a good, 18 months ago that we started to do that. Like I said, it's been a long journey, right? It's been a long journey. And she did that. And I said to her then, we had an agreement, okay? And we did this again. I think we need to refresh that again. It's good to do this every 6 to 8 months. And that this is who you want to be, okay? These are the characteristics that this person, who you want to be like, has, okay? Traits, characteristics. So it's my job now, okay? We had this agreement. It's my job, and we remind each other of this agreement a lot when she rejects or gets resistant. She doesn't get that much resistant nowadays. She'll just question it, and I'll have to say to her, you need to trust me. I have to remind her this, and I'll remind her of the outcome. So I said, okay, this is who you want to be, so you have to trust me to get you there. And that will mean your old programming will still be there, is still there, that needs to be changed. So you're going to have habits, you're going to do things that are not going to be like that ideal you. So I'm going to help you, I'm going to show you that, because sometimes you're not going to be aware that you're doing that. I'm going to be there to tell you this is what you're doing, because a human has blind spots. We have blind spots, and I'll tell you where they come from. So I'm going to be there for you, but you have to trust me. And if you have any questions, you're going to have to ask those questions respectfully. You're not like, why, okay, like you normally do. That has to stop, okay? And that doesn't stop straight away. She still does it. I just have to remind her that, come on, let the process happen and then speak. Again, I'll talk about that in more detail. So we had this agreement. This is who you want to be. And then I'm going to take you there, okay? Because you can't get there. But you're going to have to just trust me in this process until you can do it yourself. And even then she needs somebody, because we still have blind spots. I'm 32 years of age right now. I have blind spots, and my spiritual guide, my teacher, my coach tells me those blind spots, and I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't even realise I was doing that. But that's how the unconscious mind works. It doesn't show you everything, but somebody else does. So have somebody in your life, okay? It's always your parent first, to tell you, could be your parent first, to tell you your blind spots. And then have somebody else who will guide you through that, or even your parent can carry on guiding you through that as well. That's if your parent is also doing the same. Okay, so we had this agreement, okay, and part of, I mean, I've got because based on our beliefs, the ideal person that she needs to be like is already there in our books. We just need to become like that person, and that person has self-mastery, is always personally growing, and contributes, right? And they are always content in their life. So no matter what is going on in their life, okay, yes, even negative events, negative situations, they accept them as they are. They're not like deluded, right? It's not like, okay, everything's positive. They accept it, but they, like I said, reframe it and make it so that they can at least grow, or for sure grow in that situation. So they're content in life in any situation. They ask, what is this teaching me? What is this problem teaching me? Always. And there's some assumptions that I will go through shortly, but this is just her outcome that I'm just going through, and it's typically what we all want to have as well. And other outcome that I want her to have is for her to process negative emotions in a healthy way, okay? And some other things that this person has that she wants to be like is that that person always looks at life as if it's happening for them, always. That person respects their body, their health, their mind, and their soul, okay? So when it comes to their health, they are looking after their health. Something Pfizer doesn't do very well right now. We're working in that a lot, in that area massively. That person looks after their mind, so they have self-awareness. They learn about their mind, they journal, they reflect, okay? And they use their mind as a servant, not as a master. The mind is not the master. Hence, oh gosh, you'll have lots of self-awareness to know what your mind is actually doing to change it or follow it through. And that person also looks after their soul, which is connecting to the Creator. So let's talk about some assumptions that like I said, I will look at my notes because it's a lot to cover, and I want to break it up so that anyone can do this, right? So there's some assumptions that, or values, if you like, that I have to in place in her, okay? And that's life, that this is life, okay? So these assumptions are as follows that matter to her right now. Okay. So people are not their behaviours. People have behaviours. We discipline the behaviour, but we don't dislike the person. Right? Obviously we're talking about friends, families, community, neighbours. That's who we're talking about. Okay? So we dislike the behaviour, we don't dislike the person. Right? This is huge. Okay? She has completely transformed just with this one, because she can easily go into a low mood if someone's mistreating her, shall I say. Okay, let me give you an example. We had an event a few weeks ago, and one of our relatives really spoke to her rudely, called her greedy, because I think there was some sweets around and she wanted some, and more sweets even, and she was really offended by this relative. And I said to her, okay, so let's get some understanding about this person. Not to justify the behaviour, what they did. It wasn't very nice what they did. Again, we don't want to dislike the person. We want to dislike the behaviour. So let's find out, why do you think that person did what they did? All right? So what was going on? So what is happening with that person? That person has got mental health problems right now. They're on medication. These are the things we have to look at and bring into, well, enforce it into the situation, okay? It was a busy day. She must have been tired. She's actually projected her stuff or her behaviours onto you, because sometimes she does that as well. And that's part of the lower self that you're just going to have to accept. And she was okay with that now. I mean, she doesn't have resistance towards the person. I mean, I'm only giving you a little bit here, but we went through it in much more depth, which again I'll talk about shortly as well. But she came out of that conversation, it only took about 10 minutes, feeling happier, and she wasn't resented about that person. There was no resentment about that person after our conversation. Had I left it at that, she would have been resented towards, she would have behaved with resentment towards that person, right? And then the judgment would have started. This is where judgment starts, because we judge the person, not the behaviour. We must judge the behaviour, because then our mind knows what's right and what's wrong. Okay. Okay, the other is we are masters of our own minds and body. So you got to be self-aware. I always say to Faisal, what is your hand just doing? I mean, you said to me that you're going to put the phone down or put the iPad down, but you've just picked it up again. You've literally just been unaware of what your hand is doing. So these are the types of weird conversations, and they're weird because how many parents talk about this? But you guys, it's very normal. It's very normal. I mean, if my hand is grabbing the phone every 5 minutes, that means my mind is not listening to me. It's not being the servant, right? That means I've got to stop that autopilot. So anything she does autopilot, I make her aware of that. We are the masters of our mind, our body. If the other way, if it happens, if the mind starts to become the master and she's not aware, I intervene then. Or I say to her, what did your hand just do there? What did your tongue just do there? Right? And she'll tell me. Most of the time she'll tell me herself. And if she doesn't, then there's some resistance obviously there, and I help her become aware of it. And she does the same to me nowadays when I do that. So it's amazing. It's really good to have somebody on check as well. Like I said, there's blind spots based on what's going on behind everything else. So be aware of thoughts. Yeah, so we need to be aware of thoughts and behaviours. So we need to increase our self-awareness. So she's really good at that. She was able to tell me, because currently it's me that's going to help her, guide her through based on our agreement, that she found she was really upset by that relative who said to her that she's greedy. And then we processed that. So she was aware of the thought. And again, move on to the next one is for her to process negative emotions. So when she's crying or when she's angry, I let her be if it's warranted. And even if it's not warranted, she needs to know that that was not a warranted response. Like, she didn't need to do that. Okay? And then she learns from it and grows from it. If it persists, again, nothing changes straight away. I mean, these are habits that she will continually do for some time, but as long as I'm there and I'm watching it, it'll go. She'll be able to manage those types of behaviours. So, as for example, if she is, I don't know, not sharing something that she could share with her sister, right? So based on her outcome, if she wants to be like that person shares, right? And if she's not sharing, then and then she's just having a tantrum, and then I've got to help her deal with that. If she's not dealing with it herself, I come in and goes, well, what is the real problem? And then she'll tell me, and it's almost like she's journaling out loud to me, and then she'll process it, and then eventually she'll come out of it. I mean, it doesn't take that long now, maybe just a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Whereas before, she would never get out of it. Never, really take ages, probably would never get out of it. It would take days. So we process negative emotions in a healthy way. We talk about it, or she journals about it. She always journals nowadays. She started to do that recently, where if she's done something wrong or out of alignment with the higher person that she needs to be, or the role model that she needs to be like, that she said she wants to be like as well, then I say to her, okay, so you've said sorry, so go and journal and tell me why was that wrong, what was the learnings, what can you do next time, right? So then next time if she makes the same mistake, it won't be as bad in terms of, it won't be as complete, it will probably be 10% less out of alignment. Okay, so I'm not looking at huge changes here. As long as she's getting better every day, that's the main thing. because you've got to get the wisdom through this as well. She's got to learn the wisdom. So she processes them healthily. Okay, so if she wants a tantrum, and as long as it doesn't last more than 2 minutes, I'm okay with that. If she's crying, I'm okay with that. We've got to encourage those. It's not easy for me to say that, especially when she cries. It's like, stop crying. My mind wants to say that as a parent, like, because it hurts me to see her cry. But I'm like, no, she needs to cry. And she's actually said to me recently, Mum, it's okay, I'm just crying. Let me cry. Right? So after that, I've never intervened. I'll let her cry. As long as it doesn't go on for hours like it used to. It just goes on for a few minutes and then she's coming out of it. Yeah, so again, sorry is not allowed until the learnings have been taken. So the reflection has happened. So that's a rule between us. Based, like, these are the assumptions that we do. So if she wants to say sorry, she's got to tell me the learnings, what should happen next time, what did happen, what did you do wrong, and then what do you need to change. Okay, that has to happen. Before, it wasn't, she wouldn't write. She was very resistant to writing this. She's only started to write recently. We talked about it first, and then now she writes. Because when you're writing, you're reinforcing it in different ways. You're not just thinking about it, you're not just saying it, you're writing it as well. So you're using more senses, and that learning stays longer in that person. So that's what she does. So sorry is not just sorry, you know, I'm sorry, ma'am. No, it's more. Okay, and I do the same. When I've done a mistake, maybe I've overreacted to something, and I haven't processed a negative emotion properly, and I've just gone into my kids, right, for example, I'll say sorry and I'll reflect and I'll say this is why it's happened, and this is what should have happened, and this is what will happen in the future. So this is what I tell her, and this just reinforces what she should do in my way, and also gives me authenticity that I am not just telling you what to do, I am doing it as well. Okay, and this never stops. This stuff never stops, right? So sorry is always given on reflection. There is sometimes consequences, okay? So I don't believe in punishment. There's no punishment. Literally, there isn't. It's always to help you grow. That's another rule in life. And that's a personal belief as well, that if something's bad happening to you, it's not a punishment, it's for you to learn and wake up and do something about it, because you haven't done it yourself. So life is always happening for you. So say, for example, if she's persistently done something, I'll give her 3 times, and maybe it's usually over her sister. She's just arguing with her, and she's not waking up and getting self-aware and processing that with me. I'll take away consequences from her for her to next time not do that, but I'll give her a warning. I'll already do this one, it's there, I've written it down, but I'll already do this, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's a bit, but in the beginning it will work, just to get them to follow through. So I'll take away a little thing, very insignificant thing. Maybe there was a 30-minute time on the iPad, I'll take that away from her. Okay, so maybe she had an hour on the iPad, next day I'll take away 30 minutes of that time, if she's not following these assumptions at the time, and I've given her 3 chances. So another introduction into a rule is, or shall I say assumption, is do what makes you happy and peaceful. That's her thing. We always do that. So whatever makes you happy and peaceful, do that. So we balance it out. So let me see, what could that be? So let's say, okay, so balance it out basically means that if she says to me, which she has done, Mama, I really want to watch the iPad or YouTube videos for 2 hours or 3 hours, okay, so, and that makes me happy, ma'am. And I'll say, okay, that is, okay, I'll give you 1 hour per week to watch recipes and, I don't know, slime making things, whatever you want to watch. But I can't do it, I won't do it for 3 hours, because it's not good for your mind, it's not good for your brain, your body's not going to like it, there's toxins coming off, you know, radiation coming off those iPads. 3 hours is too long for you to hold onto an iPad and watch it, okay? But I can't give you 1 hour, so I balance it out. I always balance it out, and she does follow that. That is really useful, and because I'm informing her and not just saying, no, you can't do 3 hours, it's just 1 hour, which is where I used to be brought up as. I never was told why I need to do what I need to do. So I tell her why always, so that she knows it's not out of anything other than her love, my love for her and care for her. So, and she needs to be informed. So another thing that what gives her happiness, I shouldn't do that, it's terrible, judging me, is her watching certain cartoons. She really wanted to watch, I don't know what it's called, there's a few, but the one that comes in my mind, I don't want to name any cartoons, but there are a few cartoons that she really liked to watch, and I've stopped her from watching them completely. Like she's not even allowed to watch 5 minutes of them, and I tell her why that is. Because what you watch influences you massively, okay? So I'll go into this in more depth later on as well. But when you're age before 7, you're literally absorbing everything you watch without any critical analysis going on in your head. You're just taking it. Above 7, you're being a little bit critical. You're taking a little bit, you're leaving some. So I don't want her to watch anything that is out of alignment with her higher self. The outcome that she wants, who she wants to be, does not follow those types of cartoons or programs, right? Because some cartoons and programs talk to each other in a very, it's a lot of fear driven going on in certain cartoons and programs. So I encourage her not to watch them, and I tell her that why that's happening, because it's going to affect you negatively. You're going to start picking up the language, you're going to start thinking like them. It happens, no matter how much we deny it, it happens. What we watch, what we read, who we talk to affects us. It goes straight into the unconscious mind, and she's really young to be able to filter that. So right now, no. So she's not allowed to watch any cartoons that can influence her in a negative way, or keeps her to be that lower self, or that lower self that is already in us. So she's not allowed to watch certain cartoons, and I tell her why. And I've mentioned all that. Okay, another thing we do is I never say you are naughty, or you are horrible, or you are whatever, right? I never say you are something. I always say you are behaving in a certain way. So typically I would say, you're lazy, okay? That would probably be me 5 years ago. I would say that to her, right? But now I say you're behaving lazily, or you're being lazy. So it's putting the behaviour from the person. And I say to her, you're making a bad choice, okay? This is often said in schools, and I picked it up from our girls' schools. So I really like that. You're making a bad choice, and you're making a good choice. So she doesn't think that she's lazy, okay? And I'll pick up on her when she says it to her younger sister. When her younger sister is being lazy, she'll say, you're lazy. I said, you know what, you're telling her you're lazy, she's going to think she's lazy, and that's going to be her identity over time. So you're not to say she's lazy, you'll say you're making lazy choices, or you're behaving in a lazy way. So you're separating the behaviour from the person. So, you know, that's one of our assumptions we have together. People are not their behaviours. People have behaviours. So whenever she's behaving in a lazy way, I say to her, you're behaving lazily. What do you need to do to go and do X, Y, Z? Do you want to do it now? Do you need to do something before that? What's going on? Like, are you tired? What is going on? So always, I never say you are naughty. It's always you are behaving. Oh, you make a bad. I never say naughty anyway, but you're behaving you're using bad choices. And I inform her to understand herself more. I tell her about her unconscious mind's traits. Yeah, we need to move on to, yes, the education. So these are the educations that they need, okay? So you can also check this on Google. There is a lot about the unconscious mind on Google, about the fears, I won't tell you. So these are things she needs, your child will need to know. Otherwise, you know, we need to have both of our brains congruently knowing everything. So the left side of the brain wants to know the facts, wants to know the knowledge, and the right side of the brain needs to feel, and yes, this feels right. So let's go into the facts. There are some facts and knowledge that you may need to tell your child, or maybe you may need to know yourself. You can definitely research more. I'm only going to give you some major things that we go and follow, because obviously she's only 10 years of age. She's not going to know everything. Some things I tell her is this, that you have, your unconscious mind has traits that all humans have, okay? And sometimes those traits can move you away from your goal or from you doing something you want to do. Okay, so the unconscious mind takes things personally. The unconscious mind will react, but you've got to process that reaction. Okay, and everyone reacts in a different way. Now, I'm just taking some things out here, and I just put these little snippets into our conversations as we go. Like flattery, manipulation. Right now, this probably is a bit too much to talk about right now in just one workshop, but these are little traits that we have as humans that people can use to manipulate us, right? That I'll just tell her about. Just briefly, I'll talk to her about it, especially when she's maybe judging somebody else. Oh, look at him, he's talking to this person and that person, and he's got these amounts of girlfriends or whatever. And I'll tell her, guess, why do you think that is? Because he can't control his lust part of his mind, right? His need. So hence, he's just jumping from one thing to the other. So these are things that I tell her, just snippets of. So the unconscious mind takes things personally, which is what I really want to talk about more of. It reacts. There's a narcissist in us already, in everyone. Now, how much of that narcissist is in us depends on our programming, okay? But there is some percentage of narcissism in us, and I tell her that always. This is why we take things personally. When it might not even be nothing to do with us, we'll still take it personally, because our narcissist is in us. And this is Dr. John E. Sarno's work. You could definitely check him on Google. His books available as well. So we got to process that narcissist in us. Okay, we can't take that away. That's going to be there always, which is why we get upset over things and etc. Okay. Flattery, I kind of didn't want to bring that in, but she's starting to talk about it because she's 10. So I'm getting to understand what love is, what lust is, all that stuff. Okay, you don't need to do that part, but if you do want more on this, I will probably do a different workshop separately on the common things that the mind has. The unconscious mind also will make you, or will tell you to do things that are easy to do. Okay, so the unconscious mind can make you lazy if you let it, right? Because it doesn't want you to go through any hardship. It's there to protect you. It's there to make you feel good. It doesn't know how to do it, hence it's just a mind, which is why you're going to be the master of it. But it'll tell you to do things that have less effort. Okay, so hence when you do something new and there's more effort involved, this is why we struggle to do it, because the unconscious mind is stopping us. And all we have to do is talk to the mind. We don't do that enough. We've got to talk to the mind and give it some reassurance that, hey, I'm happy. I'm okay doing this. I can do this. And this is why I need to do this. So obey, basically obey, right? So let me give you an example. She loves baking. Faiza loves baking. I don't know what your child loves to do. And they start off with doing easy things around it, okay? And then, but progressing from the easy stage, right? Can sometimes be hard. There's some resistance there. So, for example, in this situation, Faiza loves to bake. We started to just buy cake mix, okay? Pre-made cake mix. All you do is just add in, I don't know, a couple of eggs or water or whatever, and then the cake's made. Recently, I said to her, you need to start making your own mixture. Lots of resistance, okay? And I didn't accept that as, you know, judging her. Oh gosh, why is she doing that? Is this part of her? And I said to her, do you know your unconscious mind is resisting this, and that's normal, but you've got to overcome it now. And I'll give her some reasons why it's good for her to make her own mixtures, because she wants to be a baker. Right now, that's her goal. She wants to be a baker. She wants to have a cafe, and she wants to, you know, make cakes and biscuits and just feed everybody. And goes, if you made your own mixture, you'll be able to make mistakes, because you're only 10 years of age right now. You're only 10 years old. You can make mistakes, you can have the best cake mixture ever because you're starting really young and it's going to be your signature mixture, right? And people pay so much money for your cakes, right? But you're going to have to start somewhere. And now is a good time to start because, you know, you're young and you're creative and you won't be able to show your creativity if you're going to use a cake mix, which is already made. So we're given, you see how I'm just giving us some reasons to make that jump, to take that leap, to tell her mind that it's okay to make your own. So she's not listening to that mind, the default response to it. So she needs to reassure, obviously, herself, but then here I am to guide her to reassure her mind, give her reasons to take that leap, to actually go and put the effort in and make her own mixture. Now this typically happens, I mean, I'm giving you an adult example, is when we want to lose weight or get to an ideal fitness level, there's some resistance of getting to the gym or doing 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week or 3 days a week, right? Which is why you've got to slowly get comfortable. Okay, so right now, I mean, this is ongoing live with her when it comes to cake mixtures. We may just do one more cake mix, okay, and then move on to doing them independently so she can do it herself, following a recipe. So she's comfortably getting uncomfortable rather than just do it. Okay, so when we need to go to the gym, it's better to just go once a week for 20 minutes, then twice a week for 20 minutes, and then 3 times a week for 20 minutes, and then just work your way up, right? Or just do that and then work you up to the minutes and visit, you know, how much you do per those 30 minutes. So slowly getting her to be uncomfortable is something I've encouraged her to do, and I do myself as well. Another thing is I encourage her to do more failure. I mean, I'm going to talk about this in more detail, but failing or making mistakes is kind of celebrated. I shouldn't say celebrated because it's like, hello, but it's like, okay, so what have you learned from this mistake? And there was a time when we made 2 cakes, because she does bake, like I said. One of them just collapsed on her, right? There was 2 sponge cakes that we had to just decorate and put on top of each other to make a huge one, and one of them collapsed on her, and she just cried about that. Really was hurt that, oh my god, I've ruined the cake, and there was no time to make another one. But I had to just reassure her and just laugh it off, because oh, it's okay, we can just make something else with that, you know, rather than wasting it. We could just put into a sort of milky pudding or whatever. And she was okay from then, right? But if I had left her distraught, she was distraught, she was really crying, and you know, intensely, just for a couple of minutes, because I just cuddled her and reassured her that, hey, we can use this for something else. Now that is really important for us to do, to be celebrate or be okay with mistakes. That's what humans do. That's how we have to learn. And in schools, that was like, oh gosh, did you just ruin that? This is how people look upon mistakes, which is not needed. Okay, this is why we go to school. We need to make mistakes in school so we don't make as many at the workplace or at the business, right? Even then, you still do make mistakes. So encourage failure. Be okay with it. So 5 major fears that we need to talk about. We need to tell our child these, because 2 of them are going to either control them or they can overcome them. So number 1 fear is obviously extinction, you know, fear of death. That's a warranted fear. If we are in front of a car, we need to move. We need that fear to be active. But then that's as far as it goes. When it comes to that extinction, even when we're dying, there's always going to be some resistance, because the mind wants you to live and wants to make you safe. So there's going to be some resistance, unconsciously even. So extinction is number 1. Mutilation, where you're losing a limb, body part, that's obviously going to be a fear, and that's pretty warranted as well initially. Then you've got to get into the resourceful state to move on from, okay, so how can I carry on with life? Number 3 is loss of autonomy, also a warranted fear, but again, you've got to get into the reframe stage. Like, so what can I do with the power that I have? Or how can I change the situation? How can I change my thinking about the situation? So for example, like I mentioned earlier, I gave her choices. I get her to do things more comfortably, because if she is just to bang on, move from one thing to the next, that is also her losing autonomy in something. And if she feels powerless, that's going to lower her self-esteem, right? So again, I give her knowledge. If she can't watch specific programs that other girls in the school watched or watch, then I tell her why that is, and I inform her, and then she's okay. I'm okay with that then. If that's what it does, I'm okay with not watching that thing, or I'm okay with not doing X, Y, and Z, because it infringes who I want to be. Okay, it counter-interacts who I want to be. So if I give her knowledge, she's comfortably accepting something that she wanted to do, but she can't really do. Okay, so a lot of reframe that I have to do to give her choices. Events, again, like I mentioned, events that are out of her control, that she feels she's lost autonomy, I will reframe it in her mind with her. What are the learnings? What are the positives? And just keep on going from there. Number 4 is separation. Again, if it's happening, then obviously it's warranted at the time, but you've still got to process that. Fear of rejection, what is that? Loss of connectedness. So I encourage her. So this is something, right? Obviously this is personal to everybody. Now, separation, rejection, loss of connectedness needs to happen to, yes, to some level, me as a parent and a dad as the other parent, but she needs to at some point go to the higher source. She needs, for me it's God, she needs to connect to God, to feel connection at the most purest level. Okay, whatever your beliefs are, there's got to be something beyond just humans. Okay, and obviously there's connection that she gets from me and her dad. I'm going to talk about that in more detail later on, because she needs to do things to get that connection, which she wasn't doing. But she needs to go and seek wisdom, seek guidance. So she prays a lot to get that connectedness, to get that peace that she's, you know, like God's got her back, or whatever you believe in, the universe has your back. So she gets that from there. Okay, so she doesn't feel rejected. Okay, it's only when we put that power on humans and then they reject us, we feel rejected. Okay, but when we put that power on God or whatever your beliefs are, we don't feel rejected, because we never are ever going to be rejected. We're always going to be welcomed in that state. So we can easily reframe a day-to-day rejection. Okay, we can always say, for example, obviously she's not in business yet, but let's say someone didn't accept her cakes. Okay, that's never really happened yet. I would say to her, okay, so maybe they were on a diet, maybe they were healthy eating that day or that week, and they didn't want to have a cake, right? So I would put the focus away from her. Again, it's her unconscious mind that takes things personally. I would take the attention from her and put it onto the person who rejected her cakes, okay? And I said they were probably healthy eating. Maybe they don't want sugar. There is sugar in that cake, okay? And sugar is not healthy. You like cakes, and people do like cakes, but that person may be healthy eating that week, that day, or that's it. They're not having cakes ever again. And I think you need to respect that choice. It's not about you, it's about them. So when it's always about the mind that takes it personally. That's why we feel rejected. It's never about us, it's always about them. Okay, what's their needs? How can you serve them? Maybe you need to make a sugar-free cake then, right? Or something else, if you want them to have something that you've made, so they can feel involved. Okay, so maybe a classroom, maybe it's not a classroom, but she goes to a self-development meditation group every week, and if she's made cakes and one hasn't had them, maybe she needs to give them something else, tailor to their needs. I know my niece, she doesn't eat eggs, so whenever Faiza makes cakes that need to be eaten by everybody, she'll make egg-free cakes that week. So it's always about them, and just be flexible about everybody. So I kind of remind her of this. Ego death is a big one. Ego death is a huge one. So number 5 of the fears. I will attach a worksheet so you guys can follow through this as well, not just my words, because I'm bringing in a lot of examples here just to help you sort of understand them all. So ego death is fear of humiliation, usually it's fear of humiliation kind of like comes into it. So I make her do things that she would feel humiliated by. That sounds awful, But I do, like, so this is on little things, okay? So if she wouldn't go to the shop, and she's 10 years old, if I'm standing outside the shop and she's too shy to get into the shop because she feels, you know, shy, then no, you're gonna do it. If you're feeling shy about that, then you gotta go and do it, okay? Failing, I encourage her to fail so she doesn't even get humiliated. Failing for her is like just like passing. It's nothing huge. She just has to learn from it, right? So humiliation, fear of humiliation stops us from doing things we love. Fear of humiliation stops us from doing a live video because we're scared in case people think something else of us that we're not, right? Fear of humiliation is literally us not making a mistake. So I encourage her to make mistakes, that fear is getting worked on. But that's a natural fear. I want her to know that it's a natural fear and that your initial response would be that, oh, I shouldn't do that, I'm going to get talked about, or I might get wrong. It's better for you to get wrong or get told off, if that is something that might have to happen, okay, than you do something outside of your core values. So for example, if I see her lie to me, oh, there's consequences on that. If I see her lie to me because she's scared in case she gets told off, okay, then I'll have to tell her, hey, that is normal for you to have a fear of humiliation. It's not normal for you. Well, actually, it's in your control to process that. Like, go from that reactive thought to who you really want to be, which is someone who is always honest and authentic, okay? Because that is her goal, that is her outcome. So it's better for you to face humiliation than, you know, compromise your core values, right? Obviously her core values are getting made now, she's only 10 years of age, but that's where she's heading to. So it's better to own up the truth and get told off, because yes, as a parent, I have to tell off the behaviour, I have to discipline the behaviour, which is something she will have to do as well. As adults, we discipline our behaviours to change them so we know what's right and wrong. We don't hate ourselves, we hate the behaviour, okay? So she has to be okay with that. That's something we're working on right now, because she has like light here and there, just so she doesn't get told off. Because again, like I said, this is somebody who was not in self-development, like her parents were not in self-development, and I used to tell her off a lot before she was 6 years of age, 6 or 7. I used to tell her off all the time, okay, without telling her how and why and nothing, and so that fear is still there, which we're working on. So there are consequences, a little bit, if she's done it a lot, repeatedly in that week. If she's not picked up the learns, I will sort of like I said, I'll rarely do consequences, rarely do it, but if I have to, I will do it. Is that she needs to wake up, because sometimes we've got to use something like that. I mean, I can't remember the name of the coach for parents now, but she says 20% of consequences kind of have to be in there. The rest, 80%, is just communicating, processing, right? So I make her do things she's scared of, and I know Aisha said live, and she does that too. There's a this is funny actually. There's a corner shop that she goes to every week. She loves the sweets there. The shop owner is a little bit abrupt with the kids. I mean, she's sitting there like choosing her sweets, and he guys should know this. I know that, hey, it's a kids thing. Obviously, adults are not going to come there and choose 5 different sweets or whatever. Most of the time, it's kids that go there. Adults do as well. So adapting patience would be good. But he's not very patient with them. He behaves very impatiently towards the girls, and he's a bit abrupt. And then I'm working on her in making peace with his behaviours. But she wouldn't go in that shop alone. I went in there first with her, watching her, and then she goes in by herself, and then she tells me what did the guy say and do, and at night, and she tells me if he was being a little bit rude or a little bit abrupt. And I said, how did you process that? And what did you do? How did you answer? How did you manage that? And sometimes she wins. Sometimes I want to tell her, this is how you should do it next time. But I make her go into that a lot. So she doesn't care about ego death. There is no humiliation. That's a fake fear, really. And also another fear, which I haven't wrote here, but it's here, is that we pick up fears from our parents and our grandparents. They go up to 2 generations at least. And that was work done by, I don't know where I put it. I definitely did write about it. 2 generations at least. Okay, so there was an experiment done with mice. You can Google it, I'm sure you can find it, how there was mice that were triggered a electric shock, and so they smelled cheese, I think, I'm not sure, there's so many for it. And then they were given electric shock straight after, and then they did that so many times so that when they were given the electric shock, obviously the mice got a fright and they were scared because it was painful, obviously, and they were scared of their life in case they died from it. But every time they would smell that came before the electric shock, they would just get fearful automatically just by the smell over time. After giving the smell and then electric shock, giving the smell, electric shock, the mice just started to feel fearful, as if they did get the electric shock, but they didn't the second time round. Now that was passed on to their mice babies. Every time the mice babies smelt that same smell, if it was cheese, it would be cheese, I don't know, they would just automatically, their body would go into fear. Nothing happened to them, like no electric shock was given to the baby mice, right? So based on that experiment, humans kind of go through the same thing, and I think to some extent that is pretty true as well. I've had clients that we did work with them, intense work with them, in timeline therapy, which is part of the emotional breakthrough program and the self-mastery program. It's a huge technique that I use to help people reframe the past events. A lot of them went and picked up fear from their grandmas, granddads, and that was 2 generations away, right? So they had to get the learnings from that fear. And I tell Pfizer this, I says, you will pick up some fears that are not even yours, and I just want you to be aware of them. When you do pick them up, just to be aware of them and reframe it, change the way you're thinking about it. Because as a Pakistani origin, my parents went through, my dad definitely he was probably really young, he was probably a child when he went through World War II, and Pakistan and India and all those other countries separated, and there was a lot of war, like a lot of fights, and my dad's dad went through for the First World War. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of scarcity in our bloodline that we've picked up without even knowing or doing anything, right? We live in England, I was born in England, but I had a lot of scarcity mindset. I would save for a rainy day, I would save and spend a lot as well, but I was always thinking I'm not going to have enough money. That was always in my mind, and I was come from my mum, who, yes, she actually went through all that. She went through poverty. She went through all those things, but I didn't, but I picked it up. So I always tell her that there'll be fears in you that are not even yours. Just be aware of them, and we can work through them. So let's go through models. So this is for parents really, more than anything else. So we've gone through major fears, and how fears are not even ours most of the time. They are picked up from parents, grandparents, at least 2 generations. Some say even more than that. So when she's fearful of doing something, right? Recently I haven't seen anything that's unwarranted, apart from the shop that I mentioned. But I say to her, you might have picked it up from me, although I've done a lot of work and I've probably cleaned up a lot of stuff from her as well. But you might have picked up something. I always make you aware of it, and that it's normal. Just process it. Just process it. Okay, so I need to get this book again. My apologies, I'll just put it down. So this is for parents to know, so they can be more of aware of what the kids watch and read and who they hang around with. So from 0 to 7 years of age, the child is just absorbing everything he or she watches, reads, sees, experiences, without any filter. So there's none like, okay, I'll take this from you and I'll reject this. This is what we do nowadays, right? If we go, I know as a student nurse, when I was in placement, I was sent to several placements to study and learn. I used to pick up the good from the leader that I was watching and leave the bad, okay? The bad practices or bad behaviours, or not just the behaviour, shall I say, or the laziness element or things that were not done. But I would pick up that good. So I was always picking up good from people and I rejected what I didn't want. just so I can be the best nurse, okay? That is not in the kids. That is in us as adults, based on our values. But in children, they take everything as a yes. So if they see, just, fill the blank. Whatever they see, they'll take it without any criticism. So hence, whatever they watch on TV, if they are aligned with your core values and how you want your children to be, let them watch whatever it is. But if it isn't, then please stop them from watching it, right? This is what I had to do. And, like girls that are being inappropriate, talking bad of each other, and then yes, they make up as friends, but that whole process wasn't really nice. So I stopped her from watching certain cartoons, because I didn't want her to take that in. My little one does not watch it. She probably sneaks here and there on YouTube and watches it, but she's not allowed. And then I tell her that you're not allowed. I mean, she's only 6, yeah, she won't understand everything, but I'll give her snippets of some self-development as to why it's not allowed and how it affects your brain. So I use her words. 0 to 7, they absorb everything without filtering anything out. From 7 plus to 13, they model, so they'll copy whatever they see. They're a little bit more critical based on what they've picked up before 7, but not that much. They'll still copy a lot. So they're copying parents, they're copying the significant relationships and family, whoever they are around, friends even. So Pfizer's in that age. So based on where your child is at, I tell Pfizer that you're going to have to, like I said again, let me guide you, because right now you're fully not going to do this on your own, okay? So she's taken me as that, and then I always say to her that I am not going to always be 100%, okay? I am going to make mistakes. I want you to tell me those mistakes, and I'll tell you them as well. So because she's picking up me, and I always say to her that you've started self-development now. When you're my age, you're not going to make the same mistakes because you've started this early on. It's in your program. For me, I'm reprogramming my program. Okay, I was completely different, complete opposite to where I'm going. So, always in a survival mode. Okay, so I will make mistakes. Just pick me on the mistakes, and I will also pick them on my stick. I'll tell you when I've made a mistake. So you're not just copying my behaviour. You are saying that mommy did something wrong, and that this is why mommy did something wrong, and what to do after that. Just an example, yesterday I got a phone call from somebody who gave me a kind of bad news, and it was a busy time and I couldn't process my emotions. It was about somebody else, but I stayed on those emotions. It was like 5 p.m. in the evening, and I had to see to the children, couldn't process it, and I got 2 more similar negative news, or negative things that happen. So it was in my vibration. Law of attraction is pretty cool when it comes to doing when you have self-awareness, you can see, oh my god, I was attracted to 2 more similar situations in the last 4 hours because I didn't process the initial one. So the law of attraction is always working, whether it works for you or not. It's based on what you're feeling at the time. So based on the first news that I got, it did trigger some anger. It was pretty warranted to some extent, but it had to be processed quickly to get into abundant state. But I didn't do that, and then it just triggered on, and then I was in a pretty low mood for a few hours, unconsciously, and I was like a bit overreactive towards the girls. They weren't sleeping. Normally I'm really calm, and I'm like, no, get in bed now, or I'm out, or you go out in your room, because they were in my room at the time. So I was firm with them, and I did say to Pfizer afterwards that I didn't process that situation. 2 more happened, because so law of attraction gives you more of what you feel. So I was feeling a bit resented, a little bit angry, little bit on that situation, because I didn't process it. And then 2 more happened. So if I had processed it, which is what I tell you, those other 2 things wouldn't happen, and we would have had a much, much happier bedtime routine. So I'll tell her that I do make mistakes. They don't happen often, but they do happen. So 13, okay, so we've done 7 to 13. Then 13 up is when they are socializing. They are picking up on their friends. Who they hang around with are influencing them massively. So parents have had their part, and this is according to, I don't know if it's a doctor, but Maurice Maisy, he's made a book around this in more detail. You can Google him again. And from 13 up above, that's when they model their friends. So make sure that you're hanging around with friends that are aligned with their core values. Self-development groups you can take them to if that is something you want them to do, right? So that's it in a nutshell, and we've gone on an hour now. If there's any question, like I said, I will answer them in the comments, or you can always reach out to me on my Facebook profile or page. flourishandpurposewithnaz.com is my website. You can always email me on there or contact me on there as well if there's anything that I haven't covered. But we covered a little bit of knowledge, and I put some examples in as well. If there's anything that I haven't covered, definitely reach out. I would love to hear you, and if you've implemented anything of the same nature, then I would love to hear what results you've got. And yes, her self-development routine, I kind of did not mention that. So she's at a place where she hasn't yet completely become the person that she wants to be yet. It's there. So there's habits that need to be in place. So she's got a daily routine. She's got a diary like mine. It's called Freedom Mastery. You can get that on Amazon. It's a really good diary. And she's got habits on there that she needs to work on. And there are certain things that she does that come easy to her now, because she's been doing it for a while. So those things that come easy to her, that is her routine, is that she prays 5 times a day. She meditates a little bit. That's not easy for her to do yet, but she needs to work on that. So what comes easy to her now is gratitude journaling. That comes really easy for her. That was not easy in the beginning. We started to talk about what did she like about today, or what did I like about today, and same with her sister. And we rotated those questions before going to bed. That was the only gratitude we were doing. Now she does that plus writing it down as well, because she knows the formula. I always observe her life, right? I say, okay, so you were grateful for that. Look, you've got more of it now. So she knows that if she is grateful, she believes this now, that she'll get more of what she was grateful for. So every time she wants something more of something, I say, okay, then be grateful for what you've got already in that situation, okay? You'll get more of what you want. That is almost a value now. It's actually become a value of hers. Maybe it's a belief, I'm not sure. But it's definitely going to be a value by the time she's an adult. So gratitude journaling is easy for her now. Praying is easy for her now. Meditation is not so easy for her yet. She's working on that. She does about 5 minutes, I think 4 times a week, and then she does an hour once a week in the group. So 5 minutes is only done in her Arabic class, so she does it with her teacher. So at home she won't do it yet, but I think she's doing well. I'm not too concerned about that yet. Eating fruit, she needs to eat 1 fruit a day. I mean, that is nothing really. She needs to have more than that, but she has none. So that's where she's at. She needs to, like I said, she needs to look after her body. So she loves chocolate, she loves sweets, she loves biscuits, but she won't eat fruit easily. But she has to eat 1 a day, and that is obviously going to get increased once she has the 1. She's doing 3 glasses of water. That's in her diary. She's a tick it off if she's done it. If she hasn't done it, then why she's not done it, and reflects on it, and then make sure she does it the next day. So that doesn't come easy for her either, but she's working on it. No habit comes easy initially. And then cuddles, right? So one of her needs is to feel connected to us as parents, and the way she gets that is by cuddling. She needs to cuddle us. But then again, there's conflict in there. This is a really good one if you're a coach. She likes cuddles, but she doesn't ask for them, and she doesn't welcome them. So she is somebody, I don't know if you ever know people like that, who really love to get loved, but then they don't show it. My mum used to be like that. My mum would love it when we as kids would cuddle her, but she would never welcome it. She would always, whatever, she would do that, be very cold about it, but then somehow sneak it in a conversation that she really liked it, but she wouldn't own up to it. She picked that up a lot, massively, from my mum, because she lived with her for, I don't know, five years of her life. So she picked that up. So she's like that. She loves cuddles, but she doesn't welcome them. And she's really stiff when you cuddle her. When I cuddle her, she's really stiff. She's getting better now. So her need to feel connected to her parents, where she feels that her parents are loving her, is to get cuddles. So she's getting into the habit of cuddling. So she cuddles me twice a day, maybe once most days, but definitely twice a day. Before she goes to bed, she'll cuddle me every night. Most of the time she will in the mornings, sometimes she won't. But she has to welcome that. She has to initiate that. If we haven't, right, although I do a lot of the times, her dad doesn't, because she used to reject her dad. Goes, man, Dad, stop it, because Dad, like, he behaves as if she's a boy and just be's boisterous, right? And the little one doesn't mind that, she's boisterous as well, but Faiza's really gentle and she's a very ladylike. She doesn't like boisterous cuddles, she likes a gentle cuddle, and her dad used to do that. So, but she misses her dad's cuddles, because he stopped, because he's like, he says, well, you don't like it. And then I spoke to him, was, well, be gentle, right? She was like, you play, she's not a boy, or she's not a cushion, just be like gentle. So she has to initiate the cuddles. If her dad doesn't, because he's out of the habit now, you know, he's like, oh, she's 10, she still needs cuddles. I'm like, yeah, she does, because she's asked for them. And she said it twice, like, Dad doesn't cuddle me anymore. And you need to do that. And I said to her, if Dad forgets, you need to do it. Because you want it, and Dad will openly cuddle you. So you've got to initiate that. So this is another humiliation thing she's moving on from. Fear of, I don't know, rejection from a cuddle that she knows that Dad will give. Isn't that crazy how the mind works? So she initiates cuddles. That's her habit that she's working on to feel more connected. What else does she do? She does weekly things, like she'll take out 10% of the money that she's made that week. So she gets money for every time she achieves sort of 90% or more in her work. Because she's homeschooled, we've got an online program. If she gets 90% plus, she gets for two different lessons, like maths and English, she gets £1. Plus history, she does, that's her current lesson. And then, so she can make as much money as she wants. Right, if she does 6 lessons a day, she'll get £3. If she does 2, she'll get £1. And then that obviously accumulates over the week. Then at the end of the week on a Friday, she takes 10% out and puts that aside for people in need. Okay, and that's in a separate pot. Now I'm making her used to like separating herself from money, wanting it at the same time not wanting it as well. Not wanting in the sense that she's not attached to it, so she's happy to give. So if she ever needs to be out, if she's ever out and somebody's in need of money or food, she's more open to giving rather than holding on to it, because holding on to money is not abundant to money. So attachment to money is not good, but wanting money and having money is good, right? Love for money is not good, having money is good. So that's what I'm teaching her to do. And she also buys something usually per week for her sister, if not every other week. And her sister buys something for her, because her sister also gets money for her additions and subtractions. Currently that's where she gets money, because that's the only thing that'll motivate her to do it, which I'm happy to do. I don't pay them for household chores. They don't get money if they do the hoovering or the cleaning, washing. They get money for their learning. That's what they'll get money for. So I'm happy with that, and to stay at that. So they buy something for each other. That way she's always giving, because the person that she wants to be gives, contributes and grows. So these are the things that I've put into place to help her and empower her, and it's going really well so far. So obviously everyone's different. I would love to hear what you do. So let me know. You can email me or message me on Facebook. I'll catch you later.